Hello, hello. Today's lesson is on special right triangles. Today we're going to examine 45, 45, 90 triangles as well as the 30, 60, 90 triangle. First, let's look at the 45, 45, 90. It's also known as a right isosceles triangle because it has two congruent sides, and both of the congruent sides are the legs, and remember the longest side opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse. Okay, so the first thing I want you to understand is that these special right triangles, there's a special relationship between the legs. They're equal, and if you know the leg, then the hypotenuse is x radical 2. So all we do is multiply the value of the leg times radical 2. So if this is a 45, 45, 90, like this one, if the legs are congruent, it's automatically 45, 45, 90. So if you know this is 6, just multiply by radical 2, and you get 6 radical 2. However, if you know, let's say that's the right angle, and these are the 45s. If you know that this is 8 radical 2, then you divide by radical 2, and that just gives you 8. Okay, so if you go this way, multiply by radical 2, but if you go backwards, you divide by radical 2. Okay, but radical 2 is the magic number to remember. Let's do a couple of examples. Find A and B. Well, first of all, if these angles are congruent, then the sides must also be congruent. So A must be 6. So 6 and 6, if you know the leg, multiply by radical 2. So 6 times radical 2 is simply 6 radical 2. So A equals 6, B equals 6 radical 2. No units were given, so you don't have to give any units back. Example 2. Again, we're going to find A and B. However, we know the hypotenuse is 6 radical 3. So we're going to divide by radical 2 in order to figure out the leg. So 6 radical 3 divided by radical 2. Remember, we rationalize, get rid of that radical in the denominator. So on top, we have 6, and then 3 times 2 under the radical is 6. And here, 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 4 is just 2. So we have 6 radical 6 over 2. Simplify that, and we get 3 radical 6. No units. So notice that A and B are the same because this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So A and B are both 3 radical 6. Let's have a look at the 30, 60, 90 triangle. Has a few more parts. So if we let the short leg, and notice the two legs make the right angle, we always want to go through the short leg. Let that be x. And to go to the long leg, we multiply by radical 3. So that's x radical 3. Never go around this sharp point. No. Don't go that way. Always go this way. This is sharp. It'll cut you. So to get the hypotenuse, all you do is multiply the short leg by 2. So the hypotenuse is twice the short leg. So if you have a 30, 60, 90, and you know the short leg is 2, then the hypotenuse is 4. You always just multiply by 2 when you go to the hypotenuse. When you go to the long leg, what do you multiply by? Radical 3. So that's 2 radical 3. Okay? Let's say you know the hypotenuse is 8. Then you divide by 2. And this is just a regular 2, no radical here. So the short leg would be 4, and then 4 radical 3, you multiply by radical 3. Again, you always want to start on the short leg. Let's do a couple of examples. And remember, it's always wise to pause the camera or pause the video and give it a try. So we have a 30, 60, 90. If this angle is 30 and that's 90, this one must be 60. Because remember, the 3 angles have to add to 180. So we know the short leg, multiply by 2. So A equals 10. We have units this time, so that's 10 feet. Here, we're multiplying by radical 3. So B would be 5 radical 3 feet. If you were really measuring, you'd probably want a decimal approximation. But for now, we're fine with exact value. So A is 10 feet and B is 5 radical 3 feet. All right. Example 4. Let's find A and B. We know the long leg, and in order to go to the short leg, we divide by radical 3. So 8 divided by radical 3, we have to get rid of that, multiplying by 1. Don't forget how to do this process. So we have 8 radical 3 over radical 9, which is just 3. We cannot reduce the 8 and the 3, so we're going to leave that. So we have units, so that's millimeters, and that's our A value. And then for B, we want to multiply the short leg by 2. So this is 8 radical 3 over 3. So to multiply that value by 2, that's just 16 radical 3 over 3 millimeters. And that's our value for B. 16 radical 3 over 3. All righty. Let's do one last example. Definitely pause and give it a try on your own. So if we have the long leg and we want to go to the short leg, you divide by radical 3. Okay, so 6 radical 2, and it just takes a little practice and you'll get really good at it. And then we multiply top and bottom by radical 3. So we get 6 radical 6 over radical 9, which is just 3. But notice here, those reduce. And so we have 2 radical 6 for the short leg. And for A, once you know the short leg, you multiply by 2. So 2 radical 6 times 2 is just 4 radical 6. You multiply those numbers together. So 4 radical 6.